Hi, this is Tristina Dietz-Elms. I'm a certified product specialist with Pebeo and Pebeo North America. We're at the CHA 2015 in Anaheim, California, and I'm going to show you pouring the liquid alkyd paints in a liquid art panel. And when you put them together, the liquid fantasy paints by Pebeo have mica in the bottom of them, as you can see. So when you begin to work with these paints, there are two kinds. They're called Prism and Moon. This is the Prism. We're going to do a liquid prism painting. You must mix the mica that's in the bottom up into the bottle. So I'm mixing the mica up so that the bottle will do the special effect. If you take a look over here, you can see when it's dry what the special effect is, and this is a self-manipulating paint, so it does that special effect all by itself. These are some other bottles that I've already mixed. Besides the paints with the mica in the bottom, there's also a line called Vitriol. The Vitriol paint gives a stained glass effect, and there's a transparency to it, and it's quite thin, and I'm going to pour this in the panel first just to give some interest to the back of the painting, because the vitriol will cause the mica in the prism paint to bubble up and down and give us a very interesting finished result. So here is the prism paint, and we're going to pour it into the panel. If you wanted to do something more representational in your panel, you can use a product called Cern Relief. The Cern Relief is a dimensional paint. There's a hole in the end that's small, so you can do a small design. If you want a larger design, you cut, and then you can get a thicker line of the paint down. And then that way you can contain the paint in certain areas. We're doing an abstract painting, so we're simply going to pour the paints in the panel. We're going to manipulate them with one of these sticks and then watch as the painting basically creates itself.
We're skeptical that they can keep up with demand.
You see the shimmer of the mica in the paint. So this is a 10 by 10 inch panel. A 10 by 10 inch panel takes about 3 bottles of paint, the 45 milliliter paint. And if the paint's not all the way over the edges, you can simply use a popsicle stick and move it over to the edges. And another thing I like to do with the popsicle stick is literally go through the paint and pull some of the colors into the others. What I've found is you don't want to overwork it. So you don't want to do this too much. If you mix it quite a bit together, what'll happen is all the colors will bubble up. They don't mix with one another, but they bubble up between one another, and then you get a more homogeneous background. I have done that, and I use it as a background for additional work that I work on top with acrylics and collage and all that. But right now I'm making a painting where I don't want it to be a background, I want it to be a finished painting. Now you'll notice that I've set these paints aside for a moment, and some of the paint falls down to the bottom, so then I grab another popsicle stick and I have more that I can pull in. So I try to get as much out of the bottle as I can. And you'll start to see the bubbling effect of the prism paint will begin to create the cells that you're going to see in the finished painting. But it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours for the design to manipulate itself. Then it needs about 12 hours to 24 hours to dry, depending on the temperature and the humidity in your area. It will be dry to the touch overnight. However, because it is an oil paint, it has to cure down through all the layers. So that curing process, depending on how thick it is, takes from 72 hours to 3 weeks. And I say 3 weeks because I've poured thick paintings, and the thicker paintings take a little bit longer to dry, okay? The vitrail paint that I poured in there was to give a little bit of interest here, and you'll start to see it bubbling up from the bottom and giving you a little bit of a transparency in there. The colors I'm using are Caribbean Blue of the Prism, Buttercup is the yellow color, and then Cherry Blossom is the red. And the vitrail paint color is turquoise. Now, Pebeo also has a vitriol glitter medium. I'm going to apply the glitter medium, but not right away. The reason for that is the glitter medium is heavy. And because the glitter medium is heavy, it wants to fall to the bottom of the painting right away. So if I take the glitter medium, and you don't have to shake it or anything, it's all in suspension there. And I use one of the Pebeo pipettes. If I put it on now, it's going to start to sink. So even though right in the moment you can see it, in about 10 minutes, there's going to be a tiny little line there. So I usually wait for about 30 minutes to an hour and then come back and put the glitter medium in, and then it'll stay where you put it. It's not going to stay, it's going to move and do other things, but if it were a little bit later, maybe an hour and a half